This is part 2 of debunking common transphobic myths. You've probably heard about the drama surrounding neo-pronouns and xenogenders, so let's dig into that. First off, we have neo-pronouns, which are seen as the less extreme and usually include pronouns like its, and zim, zer, etc.
What are we, making up words now?
While xenos are what you commonly see the most hate about. This can include things anywhere from cloud self to dog self. Whatever they feel a connection to. Which I've heard originally started as hate against the trans community, but has been reclaimed by many trans people. Which is why you see those pronouns used more seriously today. Now, why do people use these pronouns? Well, it's simple. Everyone views gender differently. When I say masculinity, what comes to mind? Some picture big muscles or the smell of oil. Other picture clothes or hair length. The point is, everyone thinks of something different. And this is known as a xenic description. Which people who use xenos and neos typically use this xenic description because it better describes their gender. Since using something as simple as male, female, non-binary, whatever just doesn't fit. And sometimes can be too broad of a term. These pronouns are typically used by those who are neurodivergent. And this is because they already view things differently than someone who's neurotypical, so obviously they're more prone to seeing gender differently too.
What the hell did you just say?
This can include things anywhere from cloud self to dog self.
But it doesn't make any sense, okay? It's f***ing stupid.
These people, like the young fellow we just heard from in the first clip, so badly want to be taken seriously, but then they come out with these neo-pronouns like cloud self and dog self. Anyway, welcome back. Thank you guys so much for joining me. So I have a very quick and very crazy clown world update for you guys today, and as usual, we have, well, very little time to waste. So let's get into it. Now, if you place your attention on the screen for a moment. Now, this fella, who is a biological man that identifies as a trans woman, claims to be a doctor. Now, I'm not quite for sure if he got his little outfit on Temu or what, but my question is, if he really is a doctor, would you let him do surgery on you?
You're not a doctor. You're a big, fat, curly-headed fuck.
All right, next up, let's check out this clip from the Cackling Hens on The View, specifically Alyssa Farah Griffin, who is supposed to be a Republican or a conservative or somehow on the right. She's always in total agreement with the rest of these bumbling fools. Roll it.
We're talking about closing messages and they matter, and I want to give mine because I'm not speaking as a pundit or an analyst, but I'm speaking as a former senior aide to Donald Trump who knows him very well, spent a lot of time with him. This is the most important election of our lifetimes because he is the most dangerous man to have ever sat in the American presidency. He cannot go back. And we've never been in this moment before. His own vice president, Mike Pence, is not supporting him. I could go through the list of senior advisors. We are telling you he should not be in that role. And to Republicans who are on the fence, set aside the character, the trying to steal votes and overturn an election. He has betrayed conservative principles. Just yesterday, he said, in many cases, our allies are worse than our enemies. He means Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan. He thinks Iran, Russia, and China are better than you. That should matter. He flip-flopped on TikTok. He's not securing the border. He is promising tariffs that will affect the middle class and will crush our economy. This is not a man who is running on anything that conservatives for the last 50 years have believed in. And this is the moment to make our votes matter and to go and vote him. Make sure he's nowhere near the White House again.
A few moments later.
Alyssa Farah Griffin is like some TV girl.
She is a prominent TV personality, and also famously not just on The View, but also was I think a contributor for CNN, which a lot of folks...
And I just feel duty-bound to report that she's tremendously stupid. I just want to say that.
So this beta male still thinks that a college education means something. Roll it.
I will say, in my personal life, the only people I know that voted for Kamala Harris, all of them had post-secondary education, but the people that I know that don't have post-secondary education, yeah, they did not vote for Kamala Harris. And I really think that, like, just barely high school education is showing, because you clearly can't read. So, yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was funny. Everyone I know has a college education. Blue.
He's a fag.
So this next clip is kind of sad. This person uses its pronouns because it's dehumanizing. Roll it.
So I'm glad you asked. For me, a big part of the appeal of using its pronouns is the fact that they're dehumanizing. Because of a huge cocktail of trauma and abuse and neurodivergence and my own queerness, I don't really click with humanity. Like, I just don't vibe with it. And in the past, people have forcibly dehumanized me. So basically, I like to use its pronouns for myself as a way to sort of reclaim the dehumanization other people have forced upon me. Another part of the appeal, for me at least, is the fact that it makes people uncomfortable. What I mean by that is that sometimes people want to push me into certain boxes that they deem as harmless for their own comfort. And I'm tired of that. I'm tired of being humanized for the comfort of other people. Because of the fact that I'm queer and neurodivergent and look the way that I do, people call me a freak a lot of times. And they're right about that, and I'm fine with it, because I don't want to be humanized for other people's comfort.
You know, a long time ago, being crazy meant something. Nowadays, everybody's crazy.
I said it before, and I will say it again. You know society's doomed when Charlie Manson starts making sense. Anyway, real quick, before we go any further, I want to give a huge shout out to the sponsors of today's video, and while I'm doing that, I'm going to let this loop on the screen. Why? Just why? Anyway, today's video is being brought to us by none other than Pastor Bob Rogers and Chris Sampley. Pastor Bob and Chris, thank you guys so much for sponsoring today's video. I really appreciate the support. And I want to give a big shout out to today's honorable mention, Felicia B, for leaving a super thanks on the last video. So Felicia, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So once again, today's video sponsors are Pastor Bob Rogers and Chris Sampley, with the honorable mention going to Felicia B. Now, if you'd like to sponsor the next video and help support the channel, there is a PayPal link in the description box below, and I will say your full name as a sponsor of said video unless stated otherwise by you. All right, I think we've seen enough of this young fella for one day. Get this off the screen, please. Ugh.
You look ridiculous.
So there were a couple of people that were upset in the comment section of yesterday's video, saying this channel has become too political and too pro-Trump and blah, blah, blah. Now listen, I get it. But we are a day away from the election. Literally everything's political. People like Dylan Mulvaney and Jeffrey Marsh are making political TikToks. That should tell you something. And I definitely don't want Carmelo Harris and Tim Walz to win the election, so do whatever I can to stop that from happening. Anyway, let's keep it moving with this clip from the Today Show. I think this is Chuck Todd telling us what we should expect with the vote count. Roll it.
The way I said, so she wins North Carolina. We could be living here in Nevada, waiting and waiting and waiting. And if you remember, Nevada will take a week to count all their votes.
Well, because they go 4 days after.
And you'll have more ballots coming in.
Yeah.
And then you're really going to be used a lot on air, because this is going to be lawyers upon lawyers litigating which ballots can get fixed or cured is the language you'll start to see, those provisional ballots. So the nightmare scenario where we're just waiting for weeks, sort of the Florida of 2000.
Can you repeat the part of the stuff where you said all about the things? The things?
We could be living here in Nevada, waiting and waiting and waiting. And if you remember, Nevada will take a week to count all their votes.
Well, because they go 4 days after.
And you'll have more ballots coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah, something fishy's going on.
Now listen, I am under no illusion that my vote is going to count for anything. I know how this system works. These people are installed. They're not elected. I'm going to go out and vote anyway, so that way I feel like I have the right to complain. And I recommend all of you guys do the same thing, and maybe, just maybe, we can overwhelm the system like what happened in 2016. Anyway, we're going to be wrapping it up with this clip of Nancy Pelosi complaining about Donald Trump's mental deterioration. Nancy Pelosi is the last person on earth to be complaining about anyone's mental deterioration, because first of all, she's not that sharp anymore, and second of all, she's been telling us for 4 years that Joe Biden was sharp as a tack. Anyway, things are clearly getting very crazy out there, guys, so please take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Till next time, love you guys. Peace. Roll it.
Good morning. Wonderful to be with you again on this weekend before the election. I think that what the ex-president just said is a further indication of his cognitive degeneration. You saw recently we was talking about whether he chose electrocution or being eaten by sharks. Something's very wrong there. And indicative in it also is diminishing the power of the press, which is the guardian of our freedom in our country. So I think people who might thinking about voting for him have to know that he can't last as president for 4 years with his brain deteriorating at the rate that it is, and is clearly evident. And they may be voting for President Vance, which would be a horrible thing for our country. You're right, our family has experienced the violence. Where is Nancy? Where is Nancy? Coming into our house, violating the sanctity of our home, the safety of my husband, looking for me, echoing what was said on January 6th in the Capitol. Where is Nancy? Where is Nancy? Was coming up to punish me for what I had said about Donald Trump.
You've been doing a bit of boozing, have you? Sucking back on Grandpa's old cough medicine?
And you ain't black.